Which actually matters more for a man over 60, cardio or strength training? For decades, the answer everyone assumed was cardio. Walk more, get your heart rate up, watch your cholesterol. And cardio genuinely is good for you. I'm not going to spend this video tearing it down. But if you had to pick just one, if you could only choose a single type of exercise to protect the years ahead of you, the evidence increasingly points somewhere else, and it surprises most men when they hear it. So let's put the main types of exercise head-to-head, cardio, strength training, and balance work, and get an honest verdict on what actually matters most for a man our age, what each one is genuinely good for, and where each one falls short on its own. No single exercise does everything, but one of them does more of the heavy lifting than people realize, and I think you deserve to know which. I'm not your doctor, so if you have any heart condition, joint issues, or you've been inactive for a long stretch, check with your doctor before starting anything new. With that out of the way, let's put these three in the ring together. Let's start with the one everyone already knows. Walking, jogging, cycling, swimming, anything that gets your heart pumping steadily for a stretch of time. Here's what cardio genuinely does well. It strengthens your heart and improves your circulation, which matters enormously given how much heart disease shapes life expectancy in men our age. It helps manage blood pressure and cholesterol. It supports healthy blood sugar. It's linked to a better mood and sharper thinking. And it's remarkably accessible, since walking requires no equipment, no gym membership, and almost no learning curve. But here's where cardio falls short, and this is the part that surprises people. Cardio does very little to build or even preserve your muscle. A daily walk is wonderful for your heart and your head, but it sends almost no signal to your muscles to stay strong because it simply isn't demanding enough on them. And as we've covered before, muscle isn't optional scenery. It's what keeps you upright, keeps you independent, and keeps your metabolism from slowing to a crawl. A man who walks faithfully every day and does nothing else can still watch his strength quietly drain away underneath a perfectly healthy heart. So cardio's honest grade, excellent for your heart and your head, largely absent when it comes to protecting the muscle and strength you'll need most in the years ahead. Now the one I think deserves top billing, and the reason is simple. It's the only kind of exercise on this list that directly targets the thing most likely to determine how independent you stay in your 70s and 80s. Strength training, meaning any exercise where your muscles work against real resistance, weights, bands, or your own body weight, sends the specific signal that tells your body to keep and build muscle. We've covered why that muscle matters so much. It's your metabolism. It's what catches you when you stumble. It's what gets you off the floor and out of a low chair without help. Nothing else on this list touches that mechanism the way strength training does. And the evidence for this in older adults is genuinely striking. Studies putting frail people in their 80s and 90s through structured resistance programs have shown real, measurable strength gains, sometimes remarkable ones, in a matter of weeks. Strength training also improves bone density, which matters enormously for a man worried about fractures, and it improves your balance and coordination as a side effect of the control it demands. Where does it fall short on its own? It offers less direct benefit to your cardiovascular system than dedicated cardio does, though a well-structured strength session still gets your heart working more than people expect. And it has a slightly steeper learning curve than simply walking out the door, since form matters and beginners benefit from some guidance. Strength training's honest grade, the strongest single tool for protecting the independence, strength, and metabolism that most directly shape your later years. If I had to pick only one type of exercise for a man over 60, this is the one. The one almost nobody thinks to train on purpose, and arguably the most underrated of the three. Balance training means exactly what it sounds like. Exercises that specifically challenge your stability, standing on one leg, heel-to-toe walking, tai chi, certain yoga poses, or dedicated balance drills. It doesn't build much muscle, and it doesn't do much for your heart directly. What it does is train the specific skill of not falling, and that skill genuinely does deteriorate with age unless you actively maintain it. Here's why this deserves more respect than it gets. A fall is one of the most consequential events that can happen to a man over 60, and I mean that plainly. The hip fracture, the hospital stay, the muscle loss during that stay, the fear of falling again that keeps a man from moving as much afterward, can genuinely mark the start of a steep decline. Balance work is cheap insurance against exactly that chain of events, and the research on it is solid. Regular balance training measurably reduces fall risk in older adults. Balance work's honest grade, minimal on its own for strength or cardiovascular health, but a remarkably efficient use of a few minutes a day given what a single prevented fall is worth. So, cardio versus strength training versus balance work. Here's my honest verdict, and it isn't really a single winner, it's a ranking of priorities. If a man over 60 could only choose one, strength training is the clear top pick, because it's the one exercise that directly protects the muscle underlying your independence, your metabolism, and even your balance as a side effect. It does the most different jobs at once for our age group specifically. But only choose one is a thought experiment, not real life, and the honest, complete answer is that the three aren't actually competing. They're covering different territory, and the ideal week includes all of them, just not in equal measure. Strength training 2 to 3 times a week is your foundation. Cardio, even just brisk regular walking, layered in for your heart and your head. And a few minutes of dedicated balance work most days, since it's cheap and it targets a risk the other two barely touch. If you're starting from nothing and feeling overwhelmed by that list, here's the honest order of priority. Start with strength, because it does the most work per minute invested for a man our age. Add walking next, since it's the easiest habit to build. And weave in a few minutes of balance work. Standing on one leg while you brush your teeth counts, genuinely, once strength is underway. Let me make this concrete rather than abstract. A realistic week for a man over 60 starting from scratch might look like 2 or 3 strength sessions, 20 to 30 minutes each, hitting your legs, back, chest, and arms, using bands, dumbbells, or your own body weight. On the other days, a walk of 20 minutes or more, briskly enough that conversation is possible but not effortless. And a few minutes of balance practice tucked into your day almost anywhere, while waiting for coffee to brew, during a commercial break, doesn't need its own separate time slot. That's it. That's a genuinely well-rounded week, and none of it requires a gym membership, special equipment, or hours of your day. If you want a simple way to start the strength piece without buying anything, 4 movements cover most of what matters. A sit-to-stand from a chair without using your hands, a wall or countertop push-up, a bent-over row using a resistance band anchored under your foot, and a step-up onto a low, sturdy step. 2 or 3 sets of each, a couple of times a week, is a genuinely solid foundation, and you can build from there once it starts feeling easy. Let me address the 2 objections I hear most, because they stop a lot of men before they start. I've got bad knees or bad joints is the first, and it's a real concern, but it's rarely a reason to avoid all strength work. Resistance training can often be adapted around a joint issue, seated exercises, resistance bands instead of impact, working around the sore spot rather than through it. And in many cases, appropriately loaded strength work actually improves joint pain over time by better supporting the joint. This is exactly the kind of thing worth discussing with your doctor or a physical therapist, rather than assuming it rules you out entirely. The second is, I don't have time or a gym. You genuinely don't need either. 2 or 3 20-minute sessions a week, using bands or your own body weight in your living room, deliver real results. This isn't about becoming a gym regular. It's about giving your muscles a real demand a couple of times a week, wherever that happens. I don't want to undersell cardio's other quiet benefits, though, because it matters for a different reason entirely. Walking groups, cycling clubs, and swimming sessions often come with genuine social contact built in, and we've talked before about how much that connection matters for a man's well-being as he ages. If a cardio class or a regular walk with a friend is what actually gets you out the door consistently, that social pull is worth something real on its own, even setting the exercise itself aside. The best exercise in the end is also the one you'll actually keep doing, and companionship is a legitimate reason something sticks. If you've spent years assuming cardio was the whole answer, or if you've avoided strength training because it felt like something for younger, more athletic people, I want to gently correct that. Strength training at our age isn't about building an impressive physique. It's some of the most protective, quietly powerful medicine available to you, and it's never too late to start seeing real benefit from it. Genuinely, even men starting in their 80s see measurable gains. You don't need to be strong to start. You need to start to become strong. The order matters, and it's more forgiving than you'd think. So here's the honest verdict, one more time, plainly. Cardio protects your heart and your mind. Strength training protects your independence and your metabolism, and does the most overall for a man our age. Balance work protects you from the single event most likely to derail everything else. None of them replace each other, but if your week only has room for one new habit right now, make it strength. It's the piece most men have been missing, and it's the one most likely to change how the next 20 years actually go. If you're newer to exercise or have any health conditions, a session or two with a trainer experienced with older adults is genuinely worth it. to learn safe form before you add much weight or intensity. If this changed how you'll spend your exercise time this week, tapping like helps the next guy who still assumes cardio does it all actually see this. And subscribing keeps these honest breakdowns coming. Tell me in the comments, honestly, which of the three, cardio, strength, or balance, gets the least attention in your current routine? I have a guess, but I genuinely like to hear it from you, and it tells me what to dig into next. Since strength training came out as the clear priority here, my full video on why men lose muscle after 60 and exactly how resistance work reverses it is the natural next watch if you haven't seen it. It's waiting on the end screen in a moment, and linked in the description too. Go lift something this week and I'll see you in the next one.